are those word problems that you did? Let's start with the first one. So the first one, I actually made a mistake. I should have written a little bit more. So when you do check, you might want to do just change this part to 289. I think the value before it was too low. So you ended up with negative string, which makes absolutely no sense. So the first thing you had to do was realize that you had some different units here. So this had 20.5, 22.5 yards. The other one was 78.35 feet. And then you had 900 inches. Well, and you knew you have this much available, or whatever the number was before, right? So if I use 22.5 yards, I would subtract it from here. If I use 78.35, I would subtract it from here. And 900 inches, I would subtract it from here. But you can't subtract yards from feet, or feet from yards. Sorry, yards from feet, and etc. Feet from feet is okay, but and inches, you can't subtract 289.76 feet minus 900 inches. So you had to make a conversion. So we know that 1 yard is 3 feet. So that was that you knew already from like kindergarten. And you knew that 1 foot has 12 inches. So these are things that you would have definitely used here. So 22.5 yards, I'm going to multiply that by 3, right? And because 1 yard has 3 feet. So if I multiply that, I get that another way of saying this is 67.5 feet. 78.35, I'm going to leave it as it is. Let me just move this guy a little bit over. 78.35, that's already in feet. That's okay. Then 900 inches, so 12 inches is 1 foot. 24 inches would be 2 feet. And so forth and so forth. So if I have 900 inches, I would obviously here I would divide 900 divided by 12, and you can do that. And that would give us 75 yards, 75 feet, I'm sorry, and now I'm put a 0, 0. So this is, I can now add all the strings I'm going to use. So if I add, let me put a placeholder holder here. Let me bring a decimal down. 5, 8, carry the 1, 21, close 2, 14, plus 6 is 20. This is how much in feet you would use. 221.85 feet of string. Which you eventually then had to come over here, just simply subtract, right? So you got 1, you got a little borrowing here. 17 minus 8 is 9, 8 minus 1 is 7, 8 minus 2 is 6. So this is how much leftover string you would have if you used all that. Okay. Moving on. Hopefully move on. Okay, so this one I'm going to skip because we already did that. Actually, I'll do it just so that you have. So I have a pumpkin that was 2,222 pounds. Tammy, who apparently grew the pumpkin, wants her new pumpkin this year to grow by 1 1/3 as much. So obviously it's going to be a bigger pumpkin, right? By 1 1/3 times. So I'm going to do this, 2,200, 2,000. And it's going to be 1 1/3 of it. So obviously it's going to be a little bit bigger. So the pumpkin this year that she plans to grow, well, let me change this to a improper fraction. 3 times 1 is 1. So that becomes 4 over 3 times 2,222. And that's going to give us 8,888 over 3. Which, we don't, that's hard to imagine. I don't even know. What is that, 100 pounds, 200 pounds? What is it close to, right? So just so that I have a reference, I'm going to change that to a mixed number so that we sort of know how much the new weight of that pumpkin is going to be. So 3 goes into 8, 2 times, which is 6. 2 left over, 3 goes 29, 8, 7, 9 times, which is 27. 1 left over, 3 goes in 18, 6 times, which is 18. Bring the 8 down, and 3 goes into 8 0 times. So, as a mixed number, 3 goes into 8,888 2,960 times. And how many left over? 8. So, sorry, my mistake. why did I put a 0 here? So continue here. And 3 goes into 8 2 times. Let me just continue that. 2 times, which is 6, and 2 left over. So now I can actually rewrite this. My apologies. It's going to be 2,962, and then 2 left over 3. So your new pumpkin, so now we have an idea how much it's going to be, how much weight it's going to be. So last year was 2,222, and this year is going to be 2,962. So definitely a considerable increase in size, right? So now you have this pumpkin. I'm going to try to maybe draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Imagine the pumpkin is described. I described it using that rectangle here. This is how much the pumpkin weighs, right? Total from here to here is 2,962 and 2/3. And out of that whole pumpkin, she wants to take this, change colors, this much of the pumpkin. 1, 2, 3/5 of it, 3/5 of 2,962 and 2/3. 3/5 of it she wants to use it to make pie. So what is 3/5 of that number? So again, it's just a matter of multiplying. So instead of writing 2,962 and 2/3, I'm going to use this version over here because don't we have to change it into a improper anyway? So I'm going to write 8,888 over 3. The nice thing that can happen is these two will simplify, and I end up getting 8,888 over 5. There's nothing wrong with this answer, but I don't have an idea of what that really looks like, right? So again, I'm going to change 8,888 to a mixed number. So let me do it here in this corner. Divided by 5 goes once, 5. 3 left over, 8 goes 7. 35. 3 left over, 8 goes 7 again. 35. 3 left over, go 8. 7 again. And then 35 is going to be 3 left over. So 8,888 divided by 5 is 1,777. 3 left over 5. So out of the whole pumpkin, which weighed 2,962 and 2/3, she's going to use that much for pie. Número 3. So again, here's a rectangle. Okay, a rectangle, and I'm going to draw it. So the length is this much. I'm going to make the length a little smaller. The length, and then the width is going to be a little longer. So here's my length, and it says that's 1 7/9. And it says the width. So if that's 1 1/7/9, we know that the other side obviously is 1 7/9. And they say that the width is 2 times the length. So whatever the length is twice as much. So here's what my length is, 1 7/9. Let me multiply that by 2 so I can get the width, right? Because that's the other piece of information that I have. Change that to an improper. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 7 is going to be 16 over 9 times 2. And that's going to be 16 times 2 is 32 over 9. Or 32 over 9, or 9 goes in 32 3 times with 27 and 5 9. So either, whichever one you want to use. So I'm going to put here the width is 3/5 over 9, which means the width on this side is 3/5 over 9. Now we have all the information necessary to solve the problem. We can find the area, and area is length times width, or base times height, right? So we're going to multiply length times width. The length is 1 7/9. The width is 3 5/9, right? So let's change this to a mixed number. So 9, 9, 6, this is 16 over 9. This one is, I just erased it, 27, 32 over 9. Can we simplify anything? Doesn't look like it. So it's going to be something over 81. 9 times 9 is 81. 16 times, hang on. Oops, things started falling down. 16 times 32, it's going to be 512. So the area is 512 over 81. What's the length here? What's the unit? Inches. So inches squared, or if that was a multiple choice question, how many times can 81? So I'm going to just divide quickly, change that to a mixed number. 81, 5, 6, 7, not 7, 6 times. 6 times 1 is 6, 48. We'll just subtract then. 5, 4, that becomes a 10, that becomes a 12, 6, 2. So it's going to be, so 81 goes into 512 6 times, right? Because that's going to be my 6 times, and 26 over 81, again, inches. So either of these two answers, I'm okay. Now the next part, hang on, let me shut the alarm off. So the next part asks you to find the perimeter, and this perimeter is pretty simple, right? The perimeter is just adding all the sides, and you're going to go 1 and 7/9 plus 1 and 7/9, which you could just multiply by 2, and 3 and 5/9, and 3 and 5/9, right? So the perimeter is the sum of all the sides, so the perimeter equals, and I know, let me add the whole numbers. I'm going to get 1, 2, 5, 6, 8. So the whole number is going to be 8. My fraction is going to be, let's see, something over 9. 7 and 7 is 14. 14 and 5 is 19. 19 and 5 is 24. But we can't leave it like this. So that 8 is going to stay there for a little bit. I'm going to change this to a mixed number. Now it goes in 24 2 times, which is 18, right? And 6 over 9. Notice that I have two whole numbers now, this and this one, so I'm going to combine. And I'm going to get 10. 6 over 9, which you can simplify 10 to 2/3 inches, not square, but just inches. So this would have been my final answer. Okay, so that wasn't that bad. 4. German Shepherd weighs 50 and 1/4 pounds. A Beagle weighs 3/5 of that amount. So not the whole, obviously not the same amount, but 3/5. So this is what I think what you need to get here, that this is going to be a multiplication problem, because 3/5 of 50. So you want to take 3/5 of this part here, of 50 and 1/4, right? Not the whole thing, so it's a multiplication problem. So 3/5 times 4 times 50 is 200, 201 over 4. Can I simplify anything? Ugh, no. So it's 20 at the bottom and 603 on the top. And 20 goes into 603 15 times, no, 30 times. Yeah, 30 times, I'm sorry. 3 left over 20. If you change that to a mixed number, right? So that's going to be pounds. So the Beagle, that's still a fat Beagle. I'm sorry. Probably not realistic. I should have made it maybe 2/5. Yeah. Beagles weigh 13 pounds, 14 pounds. That's a really, well, depends on the race, I guess. Moving. Number 5 is just a pretty much a problem that uses, being careful operations with decimals. So you buy 2 Apple Watches, so here's 462.84. I'm going to buy times 2, put times 2, we calculate that way. A MacBook Pro, 2434.84. 2 tickets to Australia. I don't have a feeling we did this problem. 1893.11 times 2. So let's find out how much all that stuff is first, because we want to buy some headphones, but we don't know if we have enough money. So 462.84 times 2 is going to give us 925.68. And then our Mac 9434.84, and then what is this? 2 tickets to Australia. Nice, overpriced by the way. 0.11 times 2, and the tickets to Australia is going to cost us $3,786.22. We got to add all this, so that's going to be 14 goes 1, 17 goes 1, 16 goes 1, 14 goes 1, 21 goes 2, 7. So this is how much all that stuff is going to cost us. But I have $10,000. And I have to subtract. So if I subtract, I'm not going to waste your time, is that 7146.74, you're going to have 2,853.26. Now, if you have that much and you want to see how many of these headphones that you can buy, so it's just a simple division problem. That's 2,853.26 divided by 349.95. So again, remember what the procedure is when dealing with decimals. We have to make, or not we have to make this a whole number. So that becomes, and I'll write it. I'll just write it here. So I'm going to erase some of this stuff. And run out of room. So I erase this because we don't need it anymore. And our whole number is going to be 3,049.95, right? Because I moved the decimal 2 over. And inside, I'm also going to move the decimal 2 over because I have to do the same thing. 2853.26. So now it's a little bit easier for you to divide. This is 35,000, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to round this to about 35,000, and I'm going to say 1, 2, let's see. About 8 times 7, let's try 8. So if I multiply 8 times 34995, it's going to give me 279,960. Subtract 6, that's going to be a just a bar here, so that's a 7, 14, that's going to be a 12, that's going to be a 12, 6, 3, 5. So how many headphones can she buy? She can actually buy 8 headphones. That's all the question is asking you, so no change or anything like that, so that's okay. Again, the width of a rectangle, again, same type of problem as the other one. So the width this time, I did width and height, so maybe. So I'll do this: 2 3/4. Height's 3 times as bigger, so that's 2 3/4. I'm going to multiply 3 times 2 3/4, right? Because that's the height. So 3 times 8, 11 over 4, or just 33 over 4. And then I'm going to leave it like that for this problem. I'm going to have to change it anyway, right? 33 over 4, 33 over 4. To find the area, it's one side times the other side, right? So it's going to be 2 3/4 times 33 over 4. I'm going to change that now, so that's 8, 11 over 4, right? Times 33 over 4. And I have nothing to simplify. Yuck. So it's going to be 11 times 33, which is going to give me 364. Oops, 363 over 12 inches squared. I'll leave my answer like that, only because I don't waste too much time here, but if you need it, you change that to a mixed number. My perimeter is adding all the sides up, so that's a little easier, right? So we got 33 and 4 plus 33, 4, because it's these two sides, and then plus 2 3/4 plus 2 3/4. So let's do the whole numbers. Well, the whole numbers, there's only 2, this one and this one, so that's 4. The other ones I'm going to have to add, right? So it's 33 plus 33, which is 66. 63 plus this 6 is going to be 72. Well, can't have a mixed number look like that, right? So let's see what 72 over 4 is. Can I simplify that? And that's going to give us 18. So actually, this becomes 18, a whole number. And if I add that to the 4 that I already have, the perimeter is going to give us 22 inches. Okay. 7, again with the pumpkin. So, I'm trying to speed up things. 1,800 was last year. I'm going to multiply that 1 by 1/4. 1,800 times 4 is 5 over 4, right? Can I simplify? Thankfully I can. the 1,800 divided by 4 is going to be 450. So this and 450 times 5, I'm going to write 450 times 5 is going to give us 2,250. So the pumpkin this year is going to weigh this much. Right, so here's a pumpkin. I represent it with that. And I want to use 3/4 of the total. So all this would weigh 2,250. I don't want to use the whole thing, but 3/4. What is 3/4 of multiply 2,250? And that's all you have to do. So now, can I simplify? No. So let me multiply 2,250 times 3. And then get 6,750 divided by 4. Well, I can definitely divide that, and I'm going to get as a fraction. No, I get this much. So out of the total 2,250, I'm going to use this much for pi. 8. So at the beginning of the week, checking account. So this guy already has a negative balance. So he already owes the bank money. On Monday morning, he went to the bank and he added $426.90. Good. And then on Tuesday morning, he had another 100. How much does he have now? Okay, so let's do these two first. Well, who's going to win? The positives, right? So why are they going to win? Because they have more. So do a little subtraction here. So he has 411, right? And then plus 100 is the easy part. Now he has 511.82. So not bad, right? So that was a simple question. Find 30% of 60. Okay, I can do that. Now, how do I write that? 30% of 60. 30% of 60. And then I have to find 15% of 50. So 30%, remember, 30% you can write it as a fraction, so you can 30%. Remember, percent is a ratio, right, compared to 100, so you can write 30 over 100, which you can simplify 3 over 10, or you can write as a decimal, 0.3. However you're more comfortable with. So last year you probably did 0.3. So 0.3 of 60 means, and that's going to give us 18. 15% is 0.15 times 50, right? So and you're going to get 7.50. So we're not done yet. The question says find the sum. So we have to add 18 plus 7.5, add these two first, and then multiply that by 1/3. 18 plus 7.5 is 25.5 times 1/3. So now we have a decimal here, so let me change that to 25.5, right? Isn't that what 0.5 is? Times 1/3 again. I change this to an improper. 2 times 25 is 50. 51 over 2 times 1/3. Well, if I do that, it's get 51 over 6, which I can change to a mixed number. 6 goes to 51 8 times. 8 and 3, 6, or 8.5. That's the answer I'm looking for. The taxi service. Okay. So just to get into the taxi, so some people forget how to take a taxi. Just to get in, because they have to make some money. Just by stepping on the taxi, you're already paying $4.20. It hasn't even moved yet, and you're already paying $4.20. That's called their fee, their initial fee. Once you start moving, then you're going to pay 80 cents per mile. So if your taxi ride was $6.50, so at the end you said, stop, let me get off. And you said, you owe me $6.50. How far did you travel? Well, let's think about this. Your total was $6.50, right? Let's subtract that $4.20, because that $4.20 was from, what do you call it? The fee, right? The flat fee that every cab, well, different prices in different areas, but all cabs charge a flat fee, an initial fee, all right? That guarantees them some money. So 650 minus 420 means that if you subtract, you get 230. You have $2.30 left. This is what was charged for your travel. Okay, so 230, and each mile that you drove, you got charged 80 cents. So let's find out how many miles you travel. So 230 or 2.3 divided by 0.8. Move this one over, becomes 8. Move this one over, becomes 23. So 8 goes in 23 2 times. 16, 7 left over. So let's stop right there. So you actually traveled 2 miles, 2 and 7/8 of a mile. Okay. So again, 650 was your total. We're gonna take away that initial fee that the cab charged you just for hopping into the car, because that doesn't apply to how much you travel. This is what he charged you for the distance you travel. So he charged you $2.30. So to find out how far you travel, we're gonna try to see how many times 80 cents can go into $2.30, and that's why we divide it. And that's it. Okay, so another way you can have done this, I mean, if you wrote it 2.3 divided by 0.8, right? Because that's what we did over here. You could have actually written that as a fraction, 2.3 divided by 0.8. And if you multiply top and bottom by 10, this becomes 23. This becomes 8. And that 8 goes in 23 2 times. 7 left over, 1/8 of a mile. So another way of doing the same problem. Probably easier too. This one will probably cause a little problem. So 3 teams play the stock market game. They each start with $150,000 to invest. The winning team is obviously the one that makes more money by investing. So Team Red. Team Red started with $150,000. But they also said it took 2/3 more money. So with this 150, so they earned 2/3 of that. If you simplify this, this becomes 50,000. If you multiply, that's 100,000. That means that they had their 150,000 initially, and with that investment, right? They start with 150,000. How much did they make? They earned an extra 100,000. So their grand total was 250,000. So that's how much they earned. Team Green made 60% more money. So again, they had 150,000, and then times 60%. Right? That's how much they made on top of the money that they were given. So think about what 60% is: 0.6 or 6/10, however you want to choose it. And now we just got to multiply 150,000 times 0.6, or 3/5 of that money, 150,000. However you choose this, it's going to give us 90,000. So they earned 90,000. So again, let's go back. So they had 150,000 plus the 90,000 that they earned playing the game. So they made a total of 240,000. Team Blue, we don't have anything, just made 280,000. So obviously they made, hang on. So they had 280,000, and they had 150, right? So they had 150. So if you just want to see how much they earned, they had 150, and to make 280,000, they obviously earned 130,000. But comparing the total, this is a total, this is a total. Well, Team Blue was first place. These guys were second place, and these guys were third place. Not that bad of a question. Most liquids when cooled. So you have a water, let's just say a jug of water here, and you have 1/3, right? So we have 1/3, 2/3, and go all the way 3/3, which means it's 4. But right now you have 1/3. this much water. And you're going to freeze it. And when you freeze, water expands, so your volume increases so there's a little bit more, right? Because water expands, so it occupies more space here. So you have 1/3 of a gallon, and it's going to increase by 9%. So let's figure out what 9%, what is 9% of this? If I had this much water, which is 1/3 of a gallon, and I gave you 9%, 9% would be a very tiny amount, right? How much? So, well, I'm going to multiply that by 9% first of all. Let's find out how much it increases. So 1/3, what's 9%? 9% is 9 over 100, which I can simplify. No, I can't. 9%, oh, sorry, yeah, 9% is 9 over 100. And I can simplify, right? 9 over 100, yeah, I can. And this becomes 1, this becomes 3, this can become 3 over 100. Right, so this is how much in gallons it would increase. So how much did I have to begin with? I have 3 over 100 plus I'm going to increase it, right? The volume of the water is going to increase by 3 over 100. And what's going to be our what's going to be our new volume? Well, we got to find a common denominator, which is going to be 300. How did the 3 become 300 times 100? So times 100 on top. How did 100 becomes 300 times 3, and then times 3, 9. Now we can add. It's 109 over 300 of a gallon. It's not a full gallon. So after freezing that water, it's going to have a little bit more. Okay, so the trick here was to find out what 9% of 1/3 was. 9% of 1/3 is 3 over 100. 13. Okay, so stocks. Okay, it's a little challenging question here. So here's a company. It's owned by Peter, Paul, and Mary. This guy owns 4,050 shares. This one owns 2,510. And obviously Mary is the boss because she owns a bigger chunk of the company. Okay, so let's assume that the company at the end of the year, not assume, but they made $1.5 million, 1.5 million. Now that money has to be obviously divided among the 3 bosses. The person who's got the bigger chunk of that money is going to be Mary. The second person is going to get a big, nice chunk. It's going to be Peter. And the last person, Paul, he's going to get about half, or maybe a little bit more than half than what Mary gets, right? Because he only has 2,500 shares. And the question here is, how much will they each share? So how are we going to split this up? Well, let's find out what the total is. So if I add these up, 4,050, and I'll add it here. 4,050, 2,510. 4,200. Let's see how many total shares we have. There is 0, 6, 7, 10,000. So this is equal to 10,760 shares. So Peter owns 4,050 of 10,660. Paul owns 2,510 shares out of what? 10,760. And Mary owns 4,200 out of 10,660. Now, hard part has been done. We want to know how much each shareholder gets in proportion, right? So it's a little bit of work, but I'm debating. I probably will give you a calculator. So you're going to take, if we take this and change it to I'm trying to think what I'm going to do with you right now. Well, it's one thing. Here's what we're going to do to make life easier. So I'm going to take Peter, for example. So Peter owns 4,050 over 1,760. I'm going to change that just so I show it to you. Over 10760. That equals Peter approximately, if I were to round this, owns, that gives me an answer of 0.376, which I'm going to stop right there. That becomes 37.6% of the company. So Peter owns that much of the company, so he should get 37.6% of the money. Paul, and again, if I divide this, right, 2,510 divided by 10,760, that can mean, again, I'm rounding this. It gives me 0.233, which I'm going to round to 23.3%. So you can tell already that Paul gets a smaller chunk. He only gets 23.3%. Mary, on the other hand, 4,200 divided by 10760 equals Mary earns 39% of the company. And that's rounded. So you have two choices. You could have just multiplied 4,200 over 10,760 times 1,500,000. But I wanted to show you that this is equal to 39%. So now we can come over here, and I'm going to do it on top. It's multiply 39%, which is what Mary owns, times or of 1,500,000. So Mary's going to get 39% of that, of the profit. And we can change this to a decimal. And then just multiply this. So what's 39% of all that money there? It's going to give us 500. So Mary's going to take a nice paycheck of $585,000. Okay, so that's it.